All right. Pat Mack, in
Yes,
your
sir.
opinion, what are the key elements of effective tactical training?
Dude, that was so just how it's worded, right? Key elements, effective tactical training. So, tactical training, when it boils down to it, nuts and bolts, shoot, move, communicate, medicate. That's it. Tactical training. Shoot, move, communicate, medicate. But too often, we'll add, delete, or lose our way because of like either administrative requirements or inability to be creative at the training site. So we're going through emotion and we're doing things that do not necessarily make sense, but we start drinking our own Kool-Aid.
Hmm.
And we go, yeah, this makes sense because we're doing it, because this is the way we've always done it.
Hmm.
One of the things that came to mind was Tony Blauer saying, if you can't think to do it in training, what makes you think you could
Right.
think to do it in combat? Great little mantra there.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever people go through my training, they're like, holy shit, I'd never thought to do this.
Right.
Things like get out of the flat range world, work in footwork. And then after any kind of tactical training, this is one that's neglected big time. And when I just train my local guys, free, I told them anytime you want it, just hit me up. They neglected to do a hot wash, which is an element of effective tactical training. So after, let's say, a CQB hit or something, you've got to freaking hot wash it. You've got to exercise objective criticism on yourself and others. You're like, yeah, this was perfect except for all the things that we fucked up.
Right.
Because we think it's perfect because we did it and we're drinking our own Kool-Aid. We fell in love with this tactic or whatever. Those are big ones. Another one is two things you can't do in tactical training is say always and never.
Right.
I hear that too much. Always do this. Never do that. No, 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 no. You can't. Not in tactical training. You can't say those things. Always and never. Man, because it has to be fluid. Fluid. Another key element to effective tactical training is working, and the unit did this a lot. Worst case scenario. Snafus, situation normal, all fucked up. Throwing those into the mix. So it's not just all vanilla, not just pedestrian. Right. But those are some key elements to effective tactical training, in my
opinion.
HO.
What is the most common challenge? Is it the footwork? Is it people trying to remember so many things? Where do people trip up the most?
Well, like with this last group of guys I work with, cops, good dudes, one of it's continuity. When you work with the same guys long enough, you can read body language and you're better rehearsed. So a lot of people bring in their turnarounds too fast. So that's administrative, really. It's not necessarily a training fault. But that one is like, damn it, man, we could be doing so good if this guy weren't here. But let me see another one. With tactical training, let's say CQB, the guy's setting up the target.
Right.
That's a big one that's goofed up, because that's extremely important. Being able to set up a target effectively and forecasting, what goes on or what may happen, being able to forecast it. All right, because of this target's here, these guys are going to move this way, and then it's going to force them to go left instead of right. Those kind of things. You want to be a good backside administrator when it comes to setting up a target. Right. That's an art form. That takes work. That takes years. That takes experience.
Well, let me ask you something. You've said to me on a few occasions about those who are carrying. If you don't know what you're doing, you end up being more of a detriment,
right,
than a help.
Yep.
Apply that to tactics. In other words, you said, like, when you guys are working in the unit, you know each other. You can read the body language. You've trained that so much.
Mm-hmm.
So does a little knowledge in this sort of thing become dangerous in a way? Does it give people or units a boldness to try things or do things that may be a bit over their head?
Yeah, well, not necessarily things that are over their head, but they get complacent when they've done it a bunch. They have the ability to get complacent, and they're susceptible. If it's not, I didn't see it in a unit, but I see it out here. They're susceptible to taking shortcuts. It's like, yeah, I've done this freaking hit a dozen and a half times. I don't need to clear that corner. I know there's nothing in that corner. That kind of shit.
Right.
They'll just get complacent. But the thing is, everybody else is watching. Like that new guy, for instance, he's watching, and he needs guidance. So guys with experience, I think the danger there is their give a shitter breaks a little bit.
Yeah.
And they get a little complacent.
Now, in a Tier 1 unit, that's unacceptable.
Yeah, you ain't going to see it in a Tier 1 unit. I never did. Mm-hmm. With most LEO units I've worked with, I don't see it. They're serious about it, but I have seen it out here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Could be military units, LE units, whatever, where they get just a little freaking complacent because they've been around for a while. They got rank. It's like, yeah, I've done this so much, man. They just don't give a shit as much.
Yeah. Well, that's why they need to have effective tactical training, Mac.
Yep. Yep.